We please come to order. 7:10. iPad time.
That's not you. I know, but I think she left it on the back table. She tried to ask.
For non-agenda public, related public comments, I'll read the phrase that's on the posted agenda, just to remind everybody. This form allows anyone in attendance to, since Greg's leaving, anyone in attendance to address the board on any matter except personnel and individual student issues. Any personnel concerns should be brought to the attention of the Director of Education, Director of Administration, or the Board President prior to the meeting. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and must complete a comment card marked non-agenda to be recognized by the President. Non-agenda items will be taken for no more than 30 minutes. Ms. Sturba.
Yes?
The ones that be calling me.
Oh, that's right. Christine Sullivan?
She was.
Amy Bickle?
I am understanding that several of the board positions are coming open as of February, and some of the leadership roles I would like to maybe see filled by new people, since it seems like there have been several mistakes made over the last bit under the current leadership. So I would just like for that to be a consideration.
Malcolm?
Basically, I don't have any set. I didn't come here with anything prepared, but I'm coming to bring to light some of the things that were kind of going about. Not sure how they apply. They're not, staff related. They're not anything that shouldn't be brought out. But I want to know, why the board's not bringing up, addressing any of the things that are being spoken about under the ACA board, the group that's being directed under the direction of Steve Coffey. It seems like there's a board, or there's a group that's set up under the Yahoo group that's been kind of publicly announcing ACA's position on everything is, kind of setting a bad precedent for ACA, not only from the direction in public relations, because I know that marketing is going to be discussed tonight, but it's really setting a bad tone for everything, and I really think that it should be addressed, because I have nothing bad to say about the school. I think that the school is great, and it's really setting a really bad precedent for division amongst Arkansas, Bowen, and I know that a lot of parents have a lot of concerns, and really, people should really kind of put it to a stop, and I think that the board should just really address it, put it to sleep, so that people can really see that this one person is creating all this division, and just put it to rest, so that if there is anything, address it. Don't let this one person divide so many people, and put it all to rest, so that this way, if there are some issues, address them, and then let this person speak their mind, but not in the name of ACA, because it's an open group. You do not have to be a member to go to this. Parents who are not members, who are not parents of ACA, who are looking up ACA, are going and searching ACA, Arlington Classics, and they're seeing all of these rude, derogatory things, and it's creating problems for parents. It's setting up issues so that people are not going to want to come to the ACA based on things that Stephen Coffey is saying about ACA. They're not going to sit back and wait and see whether or not they're true or false. They're just going to take it. They're going to take his word for it. They're not going to investigate further. They're not going to come and visit the school and see whether or not Stephen Coffey is telling the truth or not. They're not going to go and investigate whether or not the numbers that he's putting out are true or false. They're just going to take his word for it. They're not going to come and visit the campus to see whether or not. Time? Okay.
since we really can't respond to you,
Oh, no, I'm not looking for a response.
I can
just
only
wanted to
give
see
you
what's through this.
policy and no facts. All I can say is freedom of speech.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, thank you.
And although I have the same concerns that you have,
It's okay, no, I totally understand.
and there's a reason it says unofficial.
It's okay, no, I totally understand, okay.
John Hawk?
Hi, my name is John, and I just wanted to address, I came here, 5 years ago, and have 2 kids here, and I've never come to these board meetings until now, and when I came here, and this is kind of related to what he said, 5 years ago, I knew 5 or 6 other sets of parents were trying to get in, and then at the end, it's like we weren't friends with them because we got in, it was a big deal to get into ACA, and I feel that we've lost that completely. The parents that I go are saying, I'm sitting here considering another school because I'm worried about this school. I haven't even been to Bowen. I don't even know anybody at Bowen, and everybody I talk to says it's a crappy school. It's a horrible school. The teachers over there are horrible. I don't even know who they are. And you're letting this just permeate. I don't understand why this board doesn't address it. You need to make a statement. You need to go out in our neighborhoods and say, ACA, you're not going to do anything with this marketing. You're going to send out letters and say, that's going to make us cheap. That's going to make us another public school. Y'all have lost focus completely. You don't know where you're at. It's out of control. But everybody I've talked to has said, we're thinking about leaving ACA. 5 years ago, everybody I was talking about wanted to go to ACA. Now, I'm not talking about one individual. It's freedom of speech. That ACA PTO group is not connected with the school. It's the board's responsibility to rise above it and put something out that can say, hey, we're a good school. We have these requirements. Because ACA is a good school, but you're letting this Bowen thing, and they're getting a defeatist attitude, and they're getting a us against them attitude. That's all I think about it. Bowen against Arkansas. What is that all about? Board needs to address that before this school goes under completely. Thank you.
Danielle?
I'm introducing myself for the first time. I'm Danielle Gonzalez. I am a very proud Bowen mom. I have 2 kids at Bowen, and I couldn't disagree with you more. My kids are happier than they've ever been. They're learning an amazing amount. And the teachers care in a way that I never have seen in this area. Never. So when you're saying us versus them, I think sometimes it's the parents. I'm sorry. There is no reason. Bowen is a wonderful school. Teachers bust their butts. Every day they're out there. Every day. What I don't like to see is other parents beating up on Bowen. If you want to work together, let's work together. But don't complain about this is the way it used to be. Because the parents that are coming up now, it is the future of Bowen. And you kind of got to move with it. That's all I got to say.
Laura Munoz?
Yeah.
Karen?
I don't think anyone's disputing the teachers at Bowen that are working really hard. My child goes to Bowen and another child here at Arkansas. And I'm a teacher here as well. So I know how hard we teach. And so I don't think it's anything against the teacher. I think it was more so the atmosphere against him. And I don't want it to be an us against them. And I do want to give credit to Mr. Daffern for stepping in and doing a great job and listening to what's going on. And he listened to my daughter who gave a persuasive paragraph speech, and he considered her speech, listened to it, and I do appreciate that. So I don't want you to think, it's Arkansas against Bowen. It's not that. And I think the teachers up there are great. I've met some of them. I don't know all of them, but all just want a great school, no matter where we are.
Karen Smith?
I also wanted to address tonight, and I know that the board has specific guidelines that you all need to work within and things like that, but I specifically, actually, trying to see the best way to say it, it would be my desire, as well as many other parents, if sometimes we would address things, and I'm not talking about Bowen and, but sometimes we can just let things fester. People don't know where we stand. And I'm speaking mainly financially. There are so many rumors that are going around as to where we stand financially. So many parents who are frightened of that and don't want to, be left out in the cold if something happens. So if there was, if you have contingency plans, if something is going on, if, just a brief statement, during a board meeting would be helpful, so that, it's just not parents talking among ourselves wondering what's going to happen, or if the board has a plan. I think we would be better off in that aspect.
Steve Coffey?
Well, this wasn't what I planned to talk about, but before people start putting words in my mouth, I think if you go back and look at what I actually wrote on the unofficial board, which involves no parents that I'm in control of at all, it's just me. Some people agree with me, but I'm not running anything. I think you'll find that my criticism was very narrowly focused. It did not include the teachers or the students or the parents at Bowen. And as things stand right now, I don't know what I would criticize. I think Bowen is going in a great direction, and I'm glad that everybody's happy there, and I'm happy with what's going on. What I did want to talk about tonight, I didn't get a chance to address it last week. It has to do with the policies that the board is putting in place. A month or two ago, I asked you, Terry, how far along you were with the policy governance process, and you told me about 70%. And I was a little confused at the time. I was looking at the policies that were coming out and what I know of policy governance, and I couldn't reconcile the two. Policy governance involves 4 types of policies. There are ends policies, executive limitation policies, board governance policies, and board CEO delegation. The policies that apparently this board has been passing for the past year are in none of those categories. In fact, the Carver model of policy governance says these policies are what they call means policies. They're in large part what the Carver model criticizes about boards following, and they are the policies that in transitioning to policy governance you should be throwing away. They have absolutely nothing to do with policy governance and with the Carver model. So it makes this board look foolish to say it's pursuing policy governance while it's passing these models. And it makes policy governance look foolish to people who only see it through the actions of this board. So I would ask you to decide which it is that you want to do. Do you want a whole bunch of new policies? That's your prerogative, but don't call it policy governance. If you do want to do policy governance, I think you need a little more education about what that actually involves.
Lisa Wangler?
One thing to say. As of today, we are at 512, which is the maximum capacity for the school. Should I bring up the other one? Okay. I went to a class this week on Facebook. Like I need a class on Facebook, but in the business sense of Facebook, and there are several reasons why I think that we should do a Facebook. One, the school needs to do it so that a parent doesn't do it. We can put announcements and stuff, and I even brought this up in the class. When we send out a newsletter on the email, let's get the information out there. And people were like, I check my Facebook way more often than my email. So, and we sit around the office and go, oh, the next time we sit down, something we need to say, blah, blah, blah. Well, we can just go on Facebook and put it on there like that. We could have contests. We could have a name your ribbon contest. That could kick off our little Facebook thing. There's a lot of things that we could do. That we could do Latin word of the week. We could do. There's just a lot of things we could do educationally as well as informationally. Keep it positive. Keep it upbeat. Try to bring the campuses together. It can be either a combined or a Bowen can have one, we can have one, whatever. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But I do think that the school needs to take a hold of it before a parent decides to do it. And I am a parent, I'm not speaking against parents, but I think we've seen what happens when parents information
That's it. Okay. Board announcements and comments?
PTO report? I just have a couple of announcements. Oh, do you have an announcement? No?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna bring up, I'm on the mailing list for the United Wimbledon Neighbors Gas Drilling News. And just wanted to let everybody know, they're pushing forward with putting the gas well down at the intersection of Bowen and Barton. Bowen and Barton. This group has been fighting that gas well for probably 2-3 years. But the city council will hold a public hearing on the 2 zoning cases on Tuesday, January 24th at 6:30 at City Hall. If anybody's concerned and would like to attend that city council meeting and express your concerns about having an industrial drill site close to one of our schools. That's all I have to say.
So I'll do the PTO report.
Yep.
I just have a couple announcements. The ACA Annual Talent Show and General Meeting is January 27th at 6:30 at the Bowen campus. The deadline for submitting an act is today. So you got that in. ET's Night at Spring Creek, the Cooper location, set for February 28th. Oh, sorry. And Family Fun Night is a Rangers baseball game, May 11th. And finally, the Daddy-Daughter Dance is scheduled February 11th to be held at the ballpark in Arlington at the Hall of Fame banquet room. More information to come on all of this.
All right, fundraising committee report.
I have 2 things. The auction committee met this week, and we had a lot more volunteers come and agree to spearhead some aspects of the evening. The donations are just pouring in. Brianna McGowan is running the auction this year, and she is absolutely fabulous. I've never met someone so enthusiastic about what they're doing, and so it's a delight to work with her. The other thing was the thermometer. I feel kind of like the Grinch. There was a light out on one side, and I have to take it back up to the North Pole and fix it, and I'll bring it back. Some of the letters are curling on, and I want to do a new total as far as pledges go. And that's what I've got for fundraising at this moment.
Thank you. Organization committee, BDS search.
All right, we have 3 finalists coming to ACA next week and the week after. There will be a public portion of their second interview, and it will start at 7 o'clock on the 23rd and the 30th at Bowen, and the 26th there will be one here. It went out by School Reach today, I believe. All right, so look in your email for the School Reach for details. There'll be a short presentation from each candidate on a given night, followed by a Q&A session, and start off with a little bit of coffee and snacks. Don't come hungry, please. You don't want to have to buy it. Don't turn this into dinner. I don't know if we can afford to buy that much coffee. Donuts. We'll have some informal time to interact with the candidates, and then a formal presentation and moderated Q&A. Coming soon to a school near you.
Okay, is there any other board comments or announcements?
I failed to put this on send this out earlier, but the scholarship committee met last Wednesday. It consists of Ken Simon, Keela Raw, Barry Parker, and Nancy Ivers, Tammy Targoni. We got our scholarship application and information sheet revised from last year to include the bigger areas, and all of that was sent out Tuesday to the area high schools. And superintendent, so we're ready to go.
If you'll send me this electronically, that class has a ACA graduates web
Oh, okay.
Facebook, and I'll have Jamie put it on Facebook.
There was a article, it's been a few weeks ago now in the paper, not an article, I'm sorry, a letter, regarding a column that was written, and it just caught my eye because the title of the letter was Critical Thinking, and it was an English teacher from a traditional ISD advocating for was sorry about the loss of critical thinking teaching, and advocating that that this needs to be stepped up, and that without requiring writing assignments and the teachers not reviewing them stringently enough, we're passing on people who cannot share their thoughts in a cognizant way. And so I thought that was a strength that ACA has with the requirements that we have here. Clearly, I didn't come to ACA. That the requirements that the ACA has are stringent and point us towards a higher education level for our students. And I actually wrote a little thing in support of that. I didn't get published this time, but there's always next time. So I just think that that's something we don't want to lose sight of. It is part of our mission and vision, and it is apparently sorely missed in the wide world. So.
Thanks. Any other board comments? All right, so we'll move along to the consent agenda, which is the closed minutes from December the 20th.
I have not seen them. Should I see? Have you guys seen them? Okay, I don't think they made their way down here.
Okay, so we'll skip ahead to the director.
Sure. Okay.
Director of Education, Arkansas. We all got that report. If you have any questions for Ms. McGraw? Yes, you've got that one student today.
Yes. Your enrollment numbers are all there.
Yeah,
I know. That's a good thing.
Let's send this quick report.
That's fine.
I don't want to die again. Lisa nailed it down.
Lisa is an awesome.
So I take it, I'll talk to you later, Lisa, about that Facebook page.
Okay.
Since that's not on this report.
I had two people at work approach me today about when were applications going to be available, so they're already getting excited.
Well, they'll be available in February.
Yeah, I think that for incoming, it's February, just at the start of February. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Moore? Mr. McGraw? All right. Moving right on. Acting Director of Education, Aaron Daffrin's report. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Daffrin? So the 9 projects are on the agenda.
Yes. Those we get on the web quickly because there's no kids in there. All the photos from Spirit Week are one that
You have to
it's taken us
get
long, so we
approved.
can't even get this. But those will be up soon.
Okay, cool. I'd like to see those.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Maybe for the benefit of folks that are looking at this, could you fill me in on the last bullet, the site-based decision-making committee?
Sure. This was an idea that I proposed to the site-based committee. It was to create kind of an informal parent-teacher committee that would act as a liaison between our campus and Arkansas and do multiple things. Because there are some things that we've known about beforehand. There's some things we've known about a week before, and that's not because of the communication here on the Arkansas side. It's just us not knowing what to ask. So rather than myself or Ms. White or Ms. Gear be charged with that, having a group of people that are interested in all the little traditions, making sure we get all those, we get them on the calendar ahead of time so we can prep. Also looking to see if there's some new things that we could do as well, that like it says, uphold the mission and vision of ACA, but we're wanting to drastically increase the parental involvement. We've had a few good isolated things. First grade did volcanoes at the beginning of the year. We've had pockets of good parental involvement, but we want to increase that rather than waiting for it to happen. We're wanting to be proactive and looking for ways to let parents know, hey, you can do this. More than just volunteering and opening yogurt mushrooms. Like these are things you can do.
I know you told me the Christmas party was great.
Yeah, the Christmas party was phenomenal. And then also some different things, parenting nights, how to help your kids with homework, and things like that. That doesn't get the highest turnout, but it's helpful. There's always going to be people that they want to know, especially if they're not used to the volume of homework. It's good to offer that support there. So what we're looking at about 5 members, probably maybe 3 parents, 2 teachers, and just so they can kind of take it and run something off my plate, and so we can get those things done.
If you really want to encourage the parent-teacher or the parent-teacher interaction there, get some more of those chocolate fountains. On the line with the paper towels following kids.
Yeah, and just whoever put together the 6th grade Christmas thing, I think they're having 3 or 4 up there. I'll make a note of that.
Chocolate fountains, it's a key.
Anybody have any more questions for Mr. Rath? Okay, I guess we go to the financial reports. So we're going to need a few minutes here to study. Just let me know when you're ready.
I haven't gone through this month, I just sent it over today. But I noticed something on last month, that concerns me. Homework and health is operating on a deficit right now.
Excuse me.
What's that? We think that the revenue is just for the cost. Just take it's for the conference. Yeah.
That's what it is, because there's 4 months. Okay. December's the short one, there's 26 jobs in December, so that's just about it. All of November and December was probably, yeah, so I'm the one to blame if I don't want to do this.
There's a couple of things you want me to point out?
Yes, please.
Okay. First of all, you have a temporary employee at Bowen campus who has used over a half of the budget that's assigned to that position, but because she's contracted, pay more. And she actually goes all the way through August, or through, it's a 220 employee, she's year round, so it's not like a teacher and she's already got half of her salary with the accruals. So you're gonna be off budget there if we don't get in there and hire someone for that position.
Yeah, so I had to ask you for cost analysis on that, so the temp position as it is cost us a lot more than,
Yes.
so because we're over 50% on it. Do you have the numbers for that?
I don't have a link because I was gonna base it off today's and I never got
Okay,
our financials.
all right, but we know we're over 50%, we know it costs more to do the temp. Okay. All right.
Also, at Bowen campus, if you'll look at your, and this is a good thing, your 11 and your 6300s, you've got a ton of supply money, you've got textbook money, you have $32,000 left for textbooks at the middle school, and you have $12,000 left for textbooks at the elementary school. This is on top of what was budgeted, or what TEA gave us for textbooks.
And so it doesn't include what we needed to hold back for purchase of textbooks?
For next year. That's all part of it, but 32,000 is still a good chunk of money.
We need 4th grade books, 8th grade books.
But those could conceivably come out of next year's budget, right?
No, you want them there when school starts, so we don't have anything close to what happened this year.
Missy,
You can't actually, you can't time shift it like that. Not that it hasn't been done in the past. Poor Misty guy.
can you tell me those numbers one more time? You said 33 at the, sorry, one more time, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 32 at the middle school, 32,631. And then the elementary over there has 12,286. And then Gila's campus still has 22,000 in its budget.
We don't
But-
need that much.
y'all probably don't need the books, so we can set that aside for next year and get the other, so we can get where we need to be.
So let's do this by the next meeting, can we kind of look at what we can do with those numbers, what we need for next year, what class, we have to buy 8th grade, we have to buy.
Who's your curriculum textbook person? Because they're gonna have to work together to know what you can get.
Barry's textbooks, we don't have a curriculum.
Well, you're gonna actually need someone to look at the curriculum, because that's gonna depend on what we buy.
But we don't have that.
Who's gonna determine 8th grade curriculum? I cannot do that because that's not
So I
my,
just wanted you to look at money.
but I don't know what,
Okay,
Yeah.
I see what
it
you're saying.
depends on what curriculum they get.
Yeah,
When we start ordering stuff outside of the state deals, it gets more expensive, but that's what enriches our, and we know we have the money coming from the state, because they only let us spend so much this year.
okay, so they locked us out of what we could spend this year.
We have a little bit left.
Okay, but they held back, okay,
Yes.
let me make sure I understand. The state held back
Money
money
for next year.
for next year.
Yes.
So there's no, okay,
We are getting
so we
some.
are getting money from the state.
Not the 80,000 we had to spend this year, but
It's only like, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 that we have left, that they withheld
that was
from
still
the.
this year. I thought there's still 20-something for next year.
So can we, we're looking to address that stuff, but is there a way to firm down that number, or is that just something we have to wait and see?
No, Barry should be able to tell them.
Okay. So I guess what I want to know is how much money the state has held out for next year for textbooks, that we know we're going to get for next year's textbooks. And then what money is still left in all the different budgets that is in that line,
That what?
that is in textbook lines, those budget line items.
That's what I just gave y'all.
Okay. 36, 12, 286, and 22.
22,306, 32,631, and 12,286. And then there's also supply money. So the teachers that were saying they needed things from their classroom. In middle school, general supplies still has $1,100. Specials, there's another 300 for general supplies.
Where's that?
PE has a couple hundred. If you turn to the sheet that says 420, on the top, it's the detailed comparison of expenditure and encumbrances to budget. And then it has 11 for instruction, because that's where this money's coming from. It's the one that's 1 of 28 pages.
Okay, that's a good hit.
Revenue to budget, there it is.
And I'm looking at page 16.
So, Elaine, have you got your access to your
Kind of, the reports are super wacky, it's not really easy to get, but now I'm just working with me to get me reports and then have them.
so you can actually see it and know what you have?
Yes.
16.
Soon, I hope.
Yeah, and he gave me a cheat sheet.
Okay.
It is. It's in layman's terms, seriously, because all these numbers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're on what page now?
16. And we set aside supply money for the start of the year. So that's already taken care of as far as the general supplies to get them through the first couple of weeks. But if you read down those supply lines, anytime you see a 102 or a 040, that's going to be your Bowen Elementary and your Bowen Middle School.
But then we have some that are 255% realized, so
Yeah, but that's Keela.
is that, okay, that's.
Where is that?
It's okay, we'll just move stuff around. It's all right. Whatever that is, I don't know. So I thought you said,
Like fine arts over there, the middle school, still has $3,700 they can spend on art supplies, or fine arts. So is it, what all is encompassed in fine arts?
It's one teacher, fine arts. She does art, music, speech, and theater.
Okay, so she still has $3,700 in her budget. And then general supplies for the middle school still has $7,400. And general supplies for the elementary school still has $7,000. So there is money over there to buy the stuff that they're saying they don't have. We just need to get it ordered. And for Keela and Aaron's sake, I want to go to 13. It's on page 18. That's your professional development money. And a lot of that is in region services, but others in travel. And there's also $15,000 worth of grant money. And we ended up sending money back last year because we didn't send teachers to professional development. And
That's because we didn't have.
right, but we need to spend every dime. And so your travel part's over here, and then you can pay for conferences and stuff out of that $15,000.
Can we pay for subs out of it too?
No. That has to come out of your sub budget.
So we need to do a budget adjustment, they need more sub money.
I know we've used twice as many
I
subs.
said, we need more sub money, we might have to, rather than spend it all, we might need to do a budget adjustment, because we're not gonna be, revenue.
But right now, subs are still in line.
Right.
So. Keela still has, you didn't even use half of yours yet.
Right.
You still have
When
13,000.
I go out, I'm gonna have,
Yeah,
somebody
somebody
coming
lost.
in, somebody's gonna have to watch their class, so.
You have one?
I have a teacher that's gonna be filling in, helping Barry out, and so she will have a sub in her classroom for some days. And that'll probably be a couple.
And you're gonna have to excuse me, because I don't know our policy right now, but are we paying for pregnant, or like when people go on leave, are we paying for that still? How is that? I mean, or do we have an offset there?
No, I think it's, I have to use up my days. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just user days.
We had a policy though, maybe, but I didn't know the last couple
It's
of
the
years.
5 weeks, I think they pay it for 5 weeks, but I have more than 5 weeks worth of days. So I just use all my days.
Any other areas y'all have questions about? Have you already used that once before?
No.
So this needs to be done.
In the 6,300 category, there's some,
Of which function?
the general fund, page 16. There's supplies reserve. 4, and it cuts off. Start of next year?
Yeah, on that same sheet, 1428.
What, sorry?
Page 14.
600 expenditures, yeah, page 14. And look at, there's some of those that are, the professional salaries, 640,000.
Those are ones that are just coded in the wrong area.
Okay. So the same thing for the other ones, down a little bit further, the 640%.
And one of those is special ed that actually gets moved to the grant now that it's
Okay, so
gone up.
So is Region 11 at the staffing level they're going to maintain? Or are they going to beef up their staff?
We're looking at another option.
So the 15,000 for professional development, is that between both campuses?
Yes.
Okay.
It's what you had last year, but they're still giving us, because the federal is not going to give us the after that.
Group pictures? Yeah, you might want to bring that one to her attention.
Which one?
Page 22, close to the bottom. $10,245%.
When you budget something at $35.
Yeah, I mean, you're only looking at $3,000 that did that. And if you look at the one right above it, it's almost a wash, so.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that maybe.
Yeah, the only, what y'all need to look at is the total of the function. And if the function's not overexpended,
So
then
then we
you're
don't worry
fine.
about the 10%. The 10% applies to the function.
Right, it's your function totals, that's what gets you your write-ups with TEA. It's when you overexpend those before you do a budget amendment.
Okay. So if we look at the dark lines, we should be good.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks like, if I'm doing this right, function 52, security and monitoring is at 56%, and we're like 22% through the year. Is that just because we're upfront? You know, I'm looking at page 24 and 28. 24? Subtotal for 61. subtotal,
But that's a subtotal.
61 is 56%, okay, so.
But if you look down on the total, for 53, you're only at 27%.
Okay. So still.
Your payroll threw you over in that 6,100, that's your payroll, because of some overtime expenses.
Okay. So this is still a disproportionate amount in the area.
Are we really going to end up off by about 40,000 for the year on insurance and bonding, or is it just a lot of expense first part of the year? It's a $40,000 budget item. It's almost spent under function 51.
We had a huge workers' comp increase because of the claims last year.
Okay.
But I have insurance money put somewhere else if we haven't spent it.
So is there something that we can do to, is there training or something that needs done that can help with that workman's comp? Like safety training or something?
Did y'all do any of that this year?
Yeah.
Is there maybe a safe driving thing or something like that? Save 10%?
Yeah, job safety stuff.
Yeah, Margaret used to do it, but she left right at the, yeah. But yeah, they send videos, you can have them watch, there's training the principals can do, the whole standing in chairs, that sort of thing.
Software seems to have trouble with expressing itself sometimes. Like, there's nothing budgeted. It doesn't know what to do with the percentage. It gives 0%. There's categories almost expended where it says 2.47%. Oh, no, I'm reading that wrong. But no, it doesn't like infinity.
Yeah, when you have a zero budget and have an expense, it still puts zeros. Yeah.
Put this broken arrow where it was.
Say it again.
Broken arrow where?
W-E-A-R.
That's what I was thinking.
They sell t-shirts. It's in Nebraska?
It's in Oklahoma.
Oh,
Is it one of the activities accounts or something?
I'm sure it's a vendor.
Yeah. No doubt. It's a vendor. I was wondering, 'cause it's
Print custom t-shirts at cheap prices.
There you go.
So the internet sounds.
That must be a club. I just know on it. So I didn't follow that line. It's fun for students to work, but no, so you can check.
That's campus funds.
Yeah, check it.
I have a question. It's actually more for Aaron and Keela about, and if you don't, if you can't answer, I understand, that Dr. Welsh did a review of special ed reports. It's not the amount, it's to what end?
Was a psychological evaluation done?
Oh, is that what that was? Okay. I thought maybe he was reviewing records in conjunction with Ms. Levon.
No. I mean, it was, they have to work together, but no.
Okay.
Are we good?
Almost.
What's the function for the homework and health expenses?
136. Yeah.
one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at the combined fund board report. It's a 6-page report. I'm on page 5 of 6, and it's, I guess we're reading down. Oh, I thought that was food services. Co-curricular activities, other operating costs, it's 508.72% expended. Looks like it's function 36. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was food service. Which one the heck is it? I think it's food service. Is that how it reads? So it's this one. 36. It was hard to read that. I'm reading it. Food service, okay?
Let's see how much. How short we're gonna be. 34% of expenditures, 22%.
On what?
Home and health.
The budget is high, on the actual, the part that's put in here is high. The part that's on the actual budget was only to have 60,000 to go into the budget, so we're still not gonna hit it. Or are we getting
It looks like it's gonna be close.
close?
We're at 43 now. No, it's expenditure. 42%. Oh. 42,000 expenditure, looks like. Realized revenue. Is it 20,000? No, sorry, 80,000. 20,000 last month. 80,000. Working reasonably. Yeah, it's already done.
So we are. Barely.
Halfway through, so that might surprise.
Well, those are, I counted it. Yeah, better.
So a little bit under half.
I'm gonna move your stuff first. So we can fiscal responsibility. All right. If there are no further questions concerning financial issues, I'll move to the action items. Going once, going twice. All right. For the consent, can we do consent? I'll entertain a motion to accept it.
Move that we accept the consent agenda.
Have a motion to have second?
A second.
Have a motion to second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Looks like everybody was there. All right, in the interest of fiscal responsibility, I'm going to move B, C, and D up so that we can send Joanne on her way. The discussion of the, what, the sound there?
Okay,
Grading policies for,
we talked about, things like one of the grading policy, the minute grade sheets, so a few things up. And I was gonna make sure, this one for you, that you have it correct on here, I just want to make sure because I pulled up the blue one on mine. So on A, basically, I just want to make sure that last, on 1A, said the guidelines shall ensure the grading reflects the students. And at one point, you might have said relative mastery, you should say mastery. So and then we said that they should communicate with parents, they should be consistent across the school, all schools in the school system, what the academic marks are, that you get number grades for all subjects and all grades, for all grade levels, what the citizenship grade is, And then we added G, and I'll just let you know that Kayla and Aaron are in this last Friday in the board policy, so that we're going to clearly, teachers are going to communicate to parents for method of calculating citizenship grade, method for dealing with work, method for remediation of wrong grades. And it'll be an internal policy approved by the director of education. Get the actual number grade, and that we're going to issue report cards every 9 weeks. K through 8, I'm looking for approved by PBS, and have conference period, and then academic dishonesty is pretty simple. I am working with them on going to do some internal policies, so we have at least some paper to hand to the new EDS on what the internal controls are. So there might, like a citizenship grade, how to get an excellent or satisfactory, that would be part of the whole. There'll be more detail in the internal policy than your policy.
The reference at the bottom of page 1 to the academic achievement policy, do we have that on our books right now?
We do.
Is that on your blog?
Yes, please.
So I was reading this when you were talking. Did you say that you met with Kayla
And Aaron, Friday last week, and they made some, Aaron made a couple of small changes, and they said that would work. And then so we are going to do internal policy, when we should, how often teachers should be putting grades in, that would be internal to them, and at least come with a couple, a page or two, covered, I don't know how long it's going to be. So it's a working document that they're working on together, and that when the ES comes on, they can put something in front of them and go, this is how we're working right now, and then it's on paper. So you have policy and procedure. I'll be working on that next month.
So do we want this on the agenda for a final vote next meeting?
You can, but it says discussion and vote, so I don't know what you want to do.
Well, we have been trying to do the discuss one and vote next.
And how much discussion?
Right, okay. Haven't heard a lot of discussion. So let's take cards.
Oh, crap.
That's your key there.
Christina Sullivan,
No comment.
Amy Bickle. Pass. Malcolm Chakri. John Hawk.
Pass.
Amy Shore. Jana, or is it Vanna? Jana Allen. Natalie David.
Pass.
Danielle.
Pass.
Mrs. Munoz.
Pass.
Karen Eisenhower.
Can I get clarification? Or no?
If it's factual, if it's a fact they can answer with, then.
Okay.
And this is agenda, so.
Sorry?
This is agenda, so.
Yes.
Yes, the answer to that question is yes.
Is it talking about that that a student gets the grade that they earn? Is that the change that we're talking about? What are we talking about?
I wouldn't call it a change,
Yeah.
call it a codification. Right?
Before it wasn't in writing, we're putting it in writing.
There was a copy stuff in that yellow folder back there, Karen,
No copies?
of the policy that we're looking at.
So it's if a student, oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Number 2, I think is what you're asking about.
Number 2. Yeah. And I think that's important. Though I hate to say it and rat my own kid out, but this week, not Kate, it's the other one. She let somebody copy off her paper. And her teacher came to me and said, here are 2 papers. Of course, she got answers wrong. That's even more embarrassing. Okay. So they're wrong and exactly had the same answers, the wrong same answers. And so I told the teacher, I said, give them both a 0. And I fully supported, giving a 0. So I don't have a problem that she gets the grade that she deserves. She let somebody copy. She paid for it. Okay.
Karen Smith,
Pass.
Steve Coffey,
Pass.
Lisa Wangler,
I'm good.
Paulette Iqbal. That's all I had.
So, Tina, I have a question. Number 2 says the actual numerical grade earned shall be recorded in the student's record. What if, like, 90% of the class fails an assignment where it is obvious that whatever the lesson was didn't click, so everybody failed? Does that have to be recorded, or is that up to the teacher's discretion? Is that going to be addressed in your procedures?
Yes.
But can they, aren't we taking that away from that discretion?
No.
You're not defining what an assignment is. The teacher defines what an assignment is.
Okay.
But we're not saying that it's up to the teacher's discretion that it's recorded, we're just saying it is recorded.
Should we say something about refer to internal policy?
Awesome. Yeah, because I was kind of along those same lines. I was wondering that same thing. That if it was something that's clear to the teacher, I like to give the power to the teacher.
I think everybody agrees
Yeah.
with that concept, but if we don't really say it, then.
Correct.
You're on 2 about the actual number of grade.
I'm sorry?
You're on 2 about the actual number of grade. But yeah, I just think you maybe like a little too down the weeds. You're saying there is no minimum grade, period. And whether they do or do take the grade is up to them in internal policy. But for you guys, you're just saying you can't give grade welfare to someone refer to it.
Yeah,
I agree. I think
refer to internal policy, for specific.
as it's written, I don't think that that's what it says.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're trying to say don't handcuff people.
But it looks as though that one says that they have to record, even if they chose, if that teacher said, I don't think that clearly the lesson wasn't learned. Clearly there's some work that we need to do on this lesson. It looks like they can't then, they don't have the power to redo the test or whatever it is.
And I think that one statement will just fix it.
Yeah, I don't
And
think that's the
say,
intent.
this is look at this, and this is the intent of the detail, the specific.
Because that we don't get to decide that, they get to decide.
Yeah.
The way I read this is this doesn't say that a teacher has to take every single grade. And so I think it might be confusing if you say, refer to internal policy saying that whether they have or have not to take a grade. It's implied in here that a teacher can toss an assignment if everybody fails and they choose to. I don't think you need that, that's just my opinion, I don't think you need that in board policy to say whether a teacher has to choose whether to take a assignment.
That's what I wanted to say, but yeah, that was my concern.
So I think that's implied in that. Or that would be the assumption.
And tell me where it's implied?
Yeah.
Where?
It's a board policy.
They're not taking a grade for anybody, it's they're not taking a grade. And it's basically the assignment didn't exist.
The fact that it's not addressed is the implication. If
This
the
is the
fact that there's
actual
nothing that says you
numerical
have to take a numerical grade on every single assignment,
That is said.
that's not said. So it's the loose construction theory. If it's not there, then you do it.
Yeah, it just says if you're taking
I think
grades,
that's how our front library was built.
the actual, yeah, I'm afraid of that, yeah. The actual numerical grade should be reported. Doesn't say all
I
actual.
almost knocked that sucker down, came that close.
Just said.
Close, close, very close. But, I mean, we can do a version with and without and vote if you feel that you want to do that.
Next time?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want a version with,
I mean-
without implication?
But I don't know that you.
Just leave it this way?
Everybody will have a chance to see if they want to edit anything.
I would say to review some of the larger district policies.
Yeah.
That is a one-line sentence in the district policy,
Yeah.
the larger district policies.
Because it really doesn't say that all grades will be recorded. It says the actual grade will be
Well, how are
recorded.
you all gonna know that?
So if it's included.
I mean, you know, to monitor, how are you all gonna know that? You're gonna, that's, we probably do so.
How about, I move that we approve the graded district grading policy, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
A second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Oh, we did that already.
Oh, that's right, we did.
Let's see.
I'm ready for the next thing.
Further board discussion.
Are you guys okay with the language as it is?
Hearing none, because we're going. We did hearing none, okay. Hearing none, those in favor? Opposed?
Okay, so the next one on our is the filter policy. I need the edits requested by Board 9. Well, the school sponsor trip travel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody received Lori's edits. Are there any objections to those edits? Any further edits? Cards?
Christina?
No comment. No comment.
Amy?
On the field trips, I would just like for both campuses to have equal opportunities to do that.
Malcolm? John Hawk? Amy? Jana? Natalie? Danielle? Mrs. Munoz? Karen Eisenhower? Karen Smith? And you're going to have to come back around. Steve?
Pass.
Lisa Wangler?
Pass.
Paulette? Malcolm?
What was it on here?
Field trip policy?
Is there like true, where is the policy stated?
Well, it should have been in the public.
It was in the public folder?
I've got copies
Is
here.
it over here?
Yes. Should be in that folder.
Okay.
So that, for the sake of not holding up everything, I am going to pass because I just wanted to see if there was something that I wanted to speak on, but since I haven't reviewed, I'm going to pass.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all I had.
Did I take you?
That's a copy.
Here you go.
No, that's it.
Okay. Any further board comments? All right, entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the student policy field trip local.
A second. All those in favor?
Opposed? Okay. We're good.
Okay, the next one is the parent organization policy. I'm just gonna say right off the top, I don't think we're gonna be voting on this today, because I hope y'all read my email to you on it. But I did talk to, after the last one, I did speak to Denise about her concerns with the policy, and just to kind of sum up. Her concern comes down to whether or not the board should say directly that there is or is not a PTO per campus or not. I think we were, let's say, drilling down into, from just generic letting the EDS do it to you guys saying specifically, yes, there's going to be one for each campus. Just kind of doing something. And basically the policy that's currently written does not say that. In fact, it is the EDS to take care of.
What does the legal policy say?
I didn't bring it.
I believe the legal policy says that, and I think that's all the legal policies.
Well, a parent-teacher organization, also just remember, is, it can be, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, it's a parent organization, it's not a parent-teacher organization.
Yeah.
It can be a booster club, it can be the singing club, it can be this, it can just be something, you know, it doesn't have to be.
The legal just says that each campus has to have one. It doesn't specify that it's necessarily the ACA PTO, and it doesn't specify that it's one that can only operate just because it's at that campus. It doesn't specify that it can or cannot operate at another campus. It doesn't say, it just says that a school can't not have.
Yeah, it says they have each, it says each school has to have a PTO.
But it
A
doesn't.
parent organization.
A parent organization.
Not a
PTO.
PTO.
Excuse me.
It doesn't say it can't be the same one. Correct. It just says you can't say there's not going to be a PTO here. And then PTO, so it could be the same PTO that services both campuses. It does not specify that. And then additionally, a PTO, as it's defined, is a really broad definition. It's basically any booster club, any parent organization, anything.
It's parent organization.
It's not, yeah, it's not saying.
So that was the thing, whether you all should say, be more specific in policy. Also, and I think this is where Denise is coming from, and just coming go through, that if we were to go down in the policy and be more specific, and I'll just take the position that we're going to say, we're not going to let, I'll just take the position, we're not going to allow the EDS to just take care of, we're going to say as a board that each campus has to have their own PTO. Just a safer fact to say that. If that's the case, I believe Denise is concerned that the PTO is going to be trying to rewrite their bylaws depending on how the policy is structured. And then her question about the EDS, when we really don't have one yet, right? But we're clearly getting to that point. So, and then my thing was, and this is a ripple. What I'm going to tell you now is a ripple effect from the policy. It's not the policy; it's the ripple effect from it. So, what happens to the current PTO position depending on what you say on the policy? So, if the board, we all say, well, we're going to say each campus has to have their own PTO. Then what happens to that position? If you say that, if we say that today, say in the vote, and say each campus is going to have their own PTO, you're quickly going to have to have an amendment on your bylaws. I would argue that if you leave the policy kind of where it is, letting the EDS take care of it, you're still going to have to take care of it, but you kick the can down the road a little bit to give yourself a little breathing room. So my conversation with your directors on Friday, we did talk about this policy a little bit, and they both said that they would like to have their own PTO, correct? And that, because if you think about it, if you say you get another campus, like in Mansfield, is the general PTO organization the way it is now, and then it's going to be kind of, it could be unwieldy discrepancies or whatever. But the question is, do you want to even? You're going to have to. It's something to consider when we go through that, if we're going to say that or not. Each campus has their own PTO, or we're going to just let the EDS handle it and be the person who's the authority on it.
kind of my thought on it was that the EDS, I mean, I wrote my own few notes too, but because of all the different ripple effects and everything that it does affect, that it would be best if the EDS were to come in, kind of assess the organization, figure out how things work. You know, I think that that's going to be the person who's best suited to figure out what is going to work best. I would just like it specified somewhere because the PTO bylaws were amended this year to do the current setup. So if it's not specified somewhere, it's going to make that difficult each year. You know, if it changes from year to year, it will leave it to change. But I know it's not a priority, but I think that the EDS, again, when they come in and kind of assess what works and doesn't work within the organization, then that's probably the best time to figure out that part of it as well. You know, depending on how things might change.
So it's one of those things we don't have to vote on it. We could wait till EDS comes in and have that discussion with them on where we're going in this. I just want to point out another one that the board had talked about on number 5 about the donations. We talked about equipment supplies, and I just had a conversation with Misty about cash donations. So we might have to beef up this portion regarding on how you deal with cash donations to parent organizations. Now I just need a little time to go over it with her or with EDS, depending on how quickly this person comes along or wants to deal with it. So I just wanted to throw it out there and see where you all sat, if you want to be more specific, if you just want to be EDS.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said before, my thought on the policy was that it just needs to be thought out a little bit more, because I think on the surface it seems like it's a really simple thing, it's just a policy, but then it has some things that are affected below.
Well, the board position is a big role. Because then you have to decide, are you going to say how they, you have to say how they do it, or you have to eliminate the position, you have to, there's a couple things you can do probably.
If you don't have just one.
Or if you say specifically you're going to do it,
It seems to be that at least the directors feel that it'd be best to have a PTO for campus. Have you heard, is that coming with you?
Well, and that was something I wanted to clarify. In her email, it was specified that I felt that way, or at least that's how I read it, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, I think that you know, both things need to be weighted out. I can see both sides of it. I do think that as seeing what PTO does address, we're continuously hearing that there's not consistency between the campuses, and I think in that regard, having one PTO is helpful. And from the parents' perspective of, you know, any fundraisers and events and stuff that they get bombarded with, that's obviously in the best interest of them to have one. But I think that it's probably best if the DEs, the executive director of school, and PTO representative at some point in time, you know, are able to have a discussion and kind of see what the pros and cons are of each scenario. So I would not necessarily say that, you know, I'm for one. I just think it needs to be discussed from all angles.
Well, and then do you actually have 3 because there's 2 campuses over there legally?
But if you consider the middle school to be part of
Right.
that whole thing. And the middle school would have different, you know, middle schools have different needs than elementary schools do, and have
Right.
different parent organizations in elementary schools.
So it's possible we're not even talking about 1 or 2, but we're talking about 1, 2, or 3.
Which I guess is where my thought was, really, I try to keep you guys out of the weeds. So I try that is, you know, try to keep you above it all and allow the administrators to deal with it, because if you say it specifically in a policy, then if there's a change, you have to go back and redo it. Well, if you just sort of leave it to an administrator, you know, if they want counsel, they can come talk to you, but, you know, why kind of deal with all the muck that you bring up? Because also it's a parent organization, it's not just PTO. You could, you know, have all kinds of
Yeah, this
clubs.
policy is not just addressing.
Right, so I'm just going to keep bringing that back. I mean, you have the specific, because that's who you represent,
Right,
I totally
that's
get
what my
that.
perspective
But that just goes to the board position. At some point, it says PTO, but it really,
It's parent work.
you want to leave, you know, the band booster club out or whatever it is, so.
Any further board comments? We'll take cards.
Christina?
Yeah, I would just say, like, for this year, to keep it possibly one PTO, and next year, see if you could do two or three PTOs. I mean, I think the kind of friction caused this year has really kind of split the campuses somewhat. And I think, one campus has one fundraiser, and this had, we had a completely different one. And I think that it has to be one and the same. That way we're all working towards the same goal. Just like the carnival. It should have been, put together by both campuses. But, I think this year just leave it the same, and then next year, see about making 2 separate PTOs. For free. Thank you.
Amy?
Pass.
Malcolm?
Somewhere it states Arlington Classics Academy community policies for relations to parent organizations. And it states that the Board of Arlington Classics Academy shall cooperate in the establishments of ongoing operations of at least one parent-teacher organization at each school in the district to promote parental involvement in school activities under Texas Educational Code 26.001. And I'm not sure where that came from.
Yeah, that's the legal policy.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to bring up.
Okay, so, and I didn't make that up, so I mean, I would adhere to that, meaning, since that's already in place. So, motion to move to the previous question. Meaning, and I'm not trying to be funny, since that was already set up, and ever since the telephone has come up, and email and all that other stuff, I would just say, if there's something going on at this campus, call up the other, hey, we're having a fundraiser. Let's do it at the other campus. And y'all want to do the same, hey, we're going to, there's going to be a skating party. It's going to be next week. Y'all want to do it? You know what I mean? And because that's how we do it. My daughter's having her birthday this Sunday. We got some invitations, you know what I mean? And we invited a whole bunch of people, and they totally called a whole bunch of people and said, hey, we're going to be there. She got a whole bunch of people to show up, close to 20 people, and they're all going to be there. And not to sound funny or anything, but it's a huge success. So, I'm totally cool with the whole let's have everything under one umbrella and do all that, but I totally think that, if McDonald's and everybody can have more than one location and, they can do Happy Meals and have all the toys go in the box and all that stuff, and if Chick-fil-A can manage to get fries and fruit to go in and coordinate all that, I think that we can have more than one PTO. Totally think it can be done. Sorry. Thanks.
John Hawk?
I think sometimes y'all are dealing in utopia. You created these problems with this PTO and stuff like that. You're going to have to go outside the lines and fix it. By just saying, okay, we're going to have separate PTOs, you're exacerbating your problem, and you know that. You can tiptoe and say, this is policy, but y'all are going to have to get it together and put out a happy face for the community and say, hey, we're all one. Whether it's policy or not. Y'all can sit here for hours and dictate what's policy. That's not going to save that campus over there if you divide it up. You've got real problems that you've created, and y'all don't want to do anything about it. You need to get in here and go. Thank you.
Amy? Jana? Natalie?
I have mixed emotions on this. I go both ways, depending on what day of the week it is. I as a Bowen parent, had interaction with some of the PTO board. I didn't realize that their children, through organization my kids are involved in too. And I've been concerned over some things that their kids have said about, they talked about things that they shouldn't really have heard about people in power around different places. That's concerned me that their kids are saying this, but at the same time, no messages are being put out to us. And there was always this us versus them, it's all Miss Rita's, it's all our administration's fault when we're not getting it, but at the same time, they've had access to our information. When we paid the $15 to join, they had our information, our email address, our contact information, that they could have contacted us. And I've been very disappointed with how things come down last minute to us, even as Bowen parents. And they constantly say it's our administration's fault when, in fact, it's their own fault for not getting started on stuff sooner than they're doing. One thing being, when I was sitting here hearing about the talent show that's going on, I've been waiting to hear information. I've been on the ACA PTO website. I've been on the Facebook. And there's just been little blurbs. And then today we finally find out about it at 4:45 when our school reach finally went out. When they had the PTO newsletter sent out to Arkansas on Monday. And at that point, if they knew the information, the basic information, and you were going to have to get the information on the talent show back in, they could have posted at least that portion. I understand they can't send out the newsletter until it's approved, but there are ways to get information to us that they wanted to blame our administration, and so I think that has exacerbated the us versus them and the division. And so I can see the value of having the two, but I think there definitely needs to be a lot of unity.
Danielle?
I find as a parent that sometimes I don't know what campus is doing what things, and I've always thought that they were doing things separately, very honestly. So, something does need to happen with communication, because I certainly don't know, and some of the parent resources, I know that I certainly haven't been able to go to some activities because they're in the middle of the day. That doesn't help really that much for us that work. So I would like to see a parent organization that we do get some information pretty early on instead of trying to rush at the last minute. So,
Mrs. Munoz?
I think there does need to be unity, and I can see having one PTO board and then having representatives at each campus to do some of those jobs. But I do think that by having one board, it could bring unity. It seems like they could get together in the summertime and sit down and do a calendar that's for both campuses and put it on the website so that that's communicated to parents and they can plan ahead of time. I just think right now, with the friction, some of the friction that's going on, I see that helping to ease that problem.
Karen Eisenhower?
Pass.
Karen Smith?
Pass.
Steve Coffey?
I agree that communication is an issue, and I mean that's not something that can be easily solved. I mean there's a lot of technology involved, a lot of people involved, but however bad it is right now, splitting the PTO into two separate organizations is going to make it worse. Imagine if we have two PTOs and they're each individually trying to negotiate who's going to run the carnival. If there's one PTO and we have a committee at each campus, they'd be able to work it out among themselves. But if there's two, it's going to be at the board or at the level of the administration that someone is going to have to mediate between those organizations and decide who gets to do what and who has what authority and who gets what money and who gets to decide where that money goes and to whom and how it's handled. So I think splitting them up, may seem like it's going to solve some problems, but I think it's going to make others much worse. On the issue of this policy, I don't know how closely y'all have read it, and I understand it's going to undergo edits, but do you really intend in 1C here to authorize the executive director of schools to give the death penalty to the PTO? Because that's what you're doing. You're saying any parent organization operates at ACA at the pleasure of the executive director of schools. And are you really comfortable ceding that authority and having the executive director take you at your word and say, all right, the PTO is gone. If you aren't, then you can't vote for this policy as it is. And it's interesting on 3A that you have 180 degrees directing the executive director of schools to maintain a good relationship. So, which is it? I just think this needs some deeper thought and some more consideration of the implications for that. But and certainly as it is now, it's self-contradictory. So it needs to be redone.
Lisa Wengler?
Oh boy. I have been the president of PTO, and I cannot imagine having to have been the president of PTO this year. And not because of any strife or anything like that, but trying to get two campuses at the same time doing the same thing. So if you're gonna have one PTO, you definitely have to have an umbrella, people here, people here, people here. There's no way one board can do it all. It is, I'm sorry, it's too much work, especially for a volunteer situation. Just like y'all have, your work has grown exponentially. Imagine 3 schools, because you get the junior college. It's just, there needs to be some umbrella there, and satellite people who all report to that umbrella. There's something else. Oh, the communication. That is so easily solved, and we have solved it.
It's Facebook.
Well, there's Facebook, but the immediate consent form now says, can we give your information to the PTO? And if they say yes, the PTO will now have all the parents' information, whereas before, the convoluted, oh, I hope nobody heard that.
I wrote that down. I recorded something. Here you go.
Pretty much well. They can stand in the leeway, right? Anyway, so the one before, nobody really even knew what that meant. And so now it's very simple. Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Like on Facebook, we can't post any pictures until we get all those back and we know who the pictures we can post, but we can post words, so there you go. That's it.
Paulette?
Yeah, I agree that there should be one PTO and have subcommittees. Because again, you're gonna divide. If you're gonna do 2 PTOs, you're dividing, the carnival. We won't even go there. But you've got the auction coming up. It is so hard for us parents to get donations. And I did have a child at both campuses, and at the beginning, they were doing one fundraiser. Over here, she's doing a fundraiser. That's just really hard as a parent if you've got somebody at both campuses. So, but the whole thing is the auction. The auction is to raise money for the whole school. You can't go out and...
Auction's not run by the PTO.
No, it's not?
No, that's the board.
Oh, okay.
It's the nonprofit.
Okay. But big things like this, just going out to get donations and stuff like the carnival, and fundraisers. As parents, it's hard to go out and go to the same person and say, oh, look, we're selling this week. And then the next week, oh, well, wait a minute, now my other child's selling this. It's just easier just to have one, like I said, umbrella, and just have subcommittees and have the school do the same thing at the same time. Spirit Week was great because it was set up at the same time. At the same, well, I just think you should have one. Quit dividing. We need to be one school. That's what we're supposed to be. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I have.
Can I say something? I think it is a good idea to have one PTO as long as there are representatives from each campus. I think the problem this year is there were only representatives on that umbrella, the big PTO, from Arkansas. And so I can understand how slow communication going on went on. I don't think it was intentional, but I can understand how that could happen because if you're the head and you're making all the decisions and improving everything, then those people know exactly what's going on so they can bam, put it at Arkansas. Otherwise, the Bowen people, y'all didn't get the information right away. So I can see how communication has been an issue. But I think if we're going to have one, it needs to be representatives from both campuses.
On the executive.
On the executive, yes.
I think that's, we're doing it with one is one way to do it, but I think you could do it with 3 if you had a committee of the 3 presidents in the EDS that actually did the planning. So that would ensure communication, ensure coordination, and you'd have 3 PTO boards that wouldn't be overworked. And you'd still have.
ISDs do that, because each school at ISD has their own PTA, and then there's a Council of Arlington TTAs, and Mr. McCullough comes to their meetings, and they get together and just represent everyone is represented, and their organizations, they deal with training, we deal with training, and that's the fun thing about putting it into my opinion, putting it into the EDS, is you have all that leeway, and they can hear people's complaints. I actually found it very interesting, no one's talking about the elimination of the position on the board, which would seem, for me, would be a bigger deal, because if you decide, you're going to still have to decide that question, so, but that's not really a policy, it's just a ripple effect of the policy. So why don't we do this? Why don't, since February is totally packed, why don't we just push this to March? But I'm assuming, look, let me just ask a question. Are you going to be hiring the EDS like in the short period?
Soon after their second interview.
Okay, so can I just then ask, or I'll email Terry, that they meet with the policy committee and we work something out with what's going to happen? We could do that in February and bring it in March. The thing about, I'd like to see you do March or April, and I hate to be that first thing for the EDS, but it ripples, and you have to give time for the PTAs to make, the PTOs to make their changes, so.
Somebody said that something about having a planning session over the summer.
Right, and
we have to have it in place so they can have their planning session.
Right, so just know that whoever that person is, I'll have to come to one of the things and talk to them. Okay, guys, okay, and just on FYI, if you have any questions about any of the policies, you can totally call me, it's okay. That's what I'm here for. I know which ones we have, I know which ones we don't have, I know which ones have to be amended, and this is the whole work in process, and there's going to be a lot of changes, as well as, the fact when EDS comes on, we're going to have a lot more policy changes, because we're going to go from DA to EDS and changing who's supposed to do what. So please, you can always call me and ask me, preferably before. So the one thing about calling and asking me before the meeting is in like a week or so before the meeting, that gives me time to get with whoever else I need to get to find questions, answers to your questions, so then I can go ahead and answer them here, or at least bring up whether the policy committee can make this, can come up with something, or we have to give it to you guys to decide if yes, we're going to do this or this way. So just think to call me.
Thank you. We'll table that till March, April, let the EDS improve that. So you need a director and deputy mayor.
Oh, the changes.
Yeah, it's mine.
All right.
I wanted to ask Mr.
Yeah, Ms. Greg has another question for me.
For me?
Short. Sorry, I got lost in the details of 28 pages of budget to actual.
He wants to go.
I wanted to back up what I really wanted to ask in the first place was, we're 36% towards realized revenue of 6.9 million. Do we think we're going to hit 6.9 million in revenue, or above, below
Yeah, we're on track to hit.
our target? And we are 34% towards our.
Keep in mind, we get payments from the state all year long,
Right,
so
right.
that's not the, we're not looking at the 10 month there.
Right, we're 34% towards our total target expenditures of a little under 6.7 million.
And we haven't made the big mortgage payment that's every August.
Okay.
And that would be 800,000 right there, which will throw all your numbers up.
So we should still come in right about 6.7.
Actually, revenue is a little higher. We could increase the budget, but we keep it like this, all the increase goes to fund balance.
And even if we, at the present point, it looks like about 270,000 to fund balance, plus whatever extra we have in revenue we haven't put in the budget.
So in layperson's terms, we're on budget, we look like we're on budget, and we may be able to have some of the fund balance, which means the money market account, at the end of the year.
Yes.
Unless there's large unexpected expenditures.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. You're still there. Okay. Discussion of the report on campuses regarding student enrollments and exit interview status.
So just before we start, I had prior to this, I had talked to Carolyn, it was on the 11th. And I have, these reports are going to be in a slightly different format, and mine, the ones that I have a copy for everybody. They're going to count from first day.
Yeah, did you take out the ones from 8/17?
No, this is just a cumulative one that she, so I don't know, but if you want to look at, because it's also got current enrollments and stuff on there by grade.
Yeah.
So some of the information might be helpful.
Yeah, what would have been good, and I didn't have time to do because of spending my time doing other things. The 8/17s, if we could have pulled those out.
I got the numbers about those.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. You had time to. Because we did the same thing. Poor Carolyn's been getting.
As you know, well, mine, I don't know if yours are more recent. Mine are
No.
the 11th, so about a week ago.
No, ours was.
Yours are more recent.
Older than mine. Yeah, older than ours.
And then I guess, sorry about everything getting cut off on the side. Not very good.
So,
it's got the district, the first one is district and then broken down by campus. And then the subsequent pages are each campus.
yeah, because what we saw in the data we asked for, let me clarify for the audience. The data we asked for from the Directors of Education was disenrollment numbers and what they got on exit interviews. Obviously, not everyone completes an exit interview. So a more complete look comes from the teams coordinator who has just raw data on people who have moved out of campus with no exit interview information.
And I wanted to point out something too on the Arkansas campus, on the one that I just handed you. If you look on 6th grade, there's 11 on there that should not, it's going to be the second page, I believe, which is Arkansas campus. There's 11 6th graders.
So the second page, 101 is Arkansas.
Yes. And if you look under 6th grade, there's 11 6th graders that should not be there.
Yeah, because they don't exist.
Correct.
Okay.
I spoke with her about that, so that's already handled. They should not show up anywhere else in the report. They really should just be subtracted from her numbers.
Okay, and 102 is?
That's Arkansas.
102 is the Bowen Campus Elementary School.
Bowen Elementary.
And then 40 is
40 is Bowen Middle School.
Yeah, I know.
And then I think everybody knows, but just in case they don't, there's the active one, that's the current enrollment, and then the 2 is the withdrawals.
Okay, so Greg, do you have,
Maybe. I can tell you what happened as of December. I'm trying to, it looks like
the
on
main
this
thing I
sheet.
wanted was the 817s to come out of this. We got
Right.
exclusion data and it's not out.
Yeah, there were, let's see. From Bowman Middle, there were 28 no-shows on the first day of school.
So it's 40, and that's gonna be,
28 no-shows on the first day for Bowman.
so you take from the 43, take away 28?
Yeah, so,
Right.
actually,
I can't read
the
the
number's bigger than that. I had, in the report we got in mid-December, it was 21 folks had left Bowen Middle after August 17th. 14 in 6th grade, 7 in 7th grade.
Okay, say that again, 14 and,
As of
14.
mid-December, it was 14 students had left 6th grade, 7 had left 7th grade. No, this is just, there's no reasons, no.
yeah. But the 817's out.
That's without.
That's that without the 817s.
There were an additional 28 that didn't show for the first day. That happens every year.
Yeah.
People.
They apply 6 different places.
Yeah, they accepted multiple schools. All right, so for Arkansas Elementary. Okay, I don't think I counted this right. I wrote down 56 that didn't show up, but that's too many. That's not 56. I did not write down the right number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. Yeah, it's 56. All right, Arkansas Elementary, 56 no-shows. Hey, we're running up the phone line.
How does that
And it would be time.
But I have this, it's got the dates on it. So maybe that's.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay, Terry and Greg, on the spreadsheet that I sent you, I did not include the first name shows.
Oh, you pulled out, even though it said 817 on there?
Yes, I realize now that that was confusing, but I did not count.
Okay, because I was going to subtract them again.
No,
That's what I was
no.
trying to do.
that
Okay. So
does
this
not-
doesn't really include the no-show?
And it goes up to the 16th of January.
Okay.
It does not include any first name.
Okay, that helps a lot. Thank you.
That number does not.
Did you hear what Aaron said?
No, I did not, I'm sorry.
Okay, he said on his, even though his says 817, it really didn't include the no-shows. You didn't include the no-shows, so that should be a real number.
On his, the one that.
Yeah.
It's 29 surveys. Is that correct or looking wrong?
Just back to what.
No, you're right. 29 surveys.
Yeah, it was the first tab.
Yeah, the first tab.
Tab number 1.
It says,
Looked like
I didn't dig deeper. I was still in the tab that was shown.
oh, okay, sorry about that.
But Greg, like you just, the number 56 for first day no-shows for Arkansas,
Right.
did we figure out how that wonky math adds up? Because if it's 38 total withdrawals from the beginning of the year,
Yeah, how's
how
that
could
work?
56 be just from the first day?
Yeah. That's what I
I've
was.
got 76 altogether and 56 no-shows. See, same last names, but different first names, I haven't counted people. This is what teams spit out.
Do you know, you said yours was before mine?
It was December
It was in December.
14th or so.
Was it
I'm
really in
trying,
December?
well, I'm trying to remember if she made mention of something, but it's been busy. I can't recall the conversation now. I was told that this was year-to-date totals. And so those numbers are lower than the 70-something.
It's possible that maybe the first day no-shows are not on yours, or there are a bunch of 817s on it.
I actually pulled it down. You got the raw data,
I do.
numbers and dates?
This is a little bit different, though. This is from the 5th.
No, so you got a whole
kid 17 is on there. This whole page, practically.
Yeah, they're sorted, I think, by date and by campus.
Yeah, the 56 does seem awful high.
Oh.
So like, I mean, this is the only good data right there.
I'm not where it is. So she's not.
That's good data. Yeah, so this is the, I mean, this is not good, but I don't know about these, because there's no dates.
Right. I think the ones that don't have any dates, they're not as old. They're just the rest of that page that you print.
Oh, the sword. I get it. Okay. So this is not bad.
Yeah,
And this is not bad. And that's not bad. So we got one page of that. And then we got how many ones on the page? So 42 from all campuses.
Well, so really,
That's 42. Because there's no losses on it.
yeah,
There's six, this is the
Okay, that's all. Okay. So where's it going?
right here. And then, there's no money on mine. There's no money. How many days today to just figure out which one they 17?
And basically,
I don't.
So let's just go with it. We got
well, and some of these ago, we knew that they were coming back. I mean, realistically, they filled out if they didn't part. That's what discounted all of the 8.
Yeah, 817s are like people who filled out applications, but they filled them out at 3 different schools. They got in at one school. They never showed up for the first day of school. 817s never showed up for the first day of school.
Well,
So. What I did is a little bit. I did my drill down into the surveys rather than drilling down into the data. So what I did is I looked at the survey information, and they had, you know, if 1 is a poor, 2 fair, 3 good, 4 excellent, the different areas like interaction with the administration, interaction with the teachers, responses to academics, all those. And so what I look, if something had any ones at all in it, or a lot of twos, I thought that was indicated there was an opportunity for us to drill down further and see if there was need for improvement in there. Right? We would say those were people that left that were unhappy. That's how I define that. If you left it and you were, and you said, if you said you would not recommend this to a friend, I counted that as an opportunity for the interaction. There might be an opportunity for improvement. So out of the 29 return exit interviews, there were 8 of them that I thought were large opportunities for us to maybe improve our processes. 13 of them had a very positive thing to say. They gave the administration all 4s and 3s, and the reasons for leaving were, moved out of the district, or personal reasons, but their experience was positive. They would re-enroll if they could, and they'd recommend it for their friend. So I counted those as, we did all right, it was just a personal situation. So there were 13 of those, which is 45%. And then there was the moderate category that they had some good things to say, they had some bad things to say, but they never, they maybe had a couple 2s, which are fair interactions, but it wasn't good or excellent interactions, it was just fair interactions. But they couldn't have had any 1s to be moderate. You had to say, I'll come back, or I'll recommend it for to be a moderate. And there were 8 of those. And again, you could identify areas if you looked at the specific place where they gave a low score, where you might have an opportunity to improve your process. So it seemed like it was not abysmal. And then if you look at some of the bads, you wonder if homework was a bad, and I'm not sure that we would think that was a bad, that there was too much homework. Another one was, religious teaching, and I wonder if that's not the CK curriculum. It's just lots of questions in my hand, that maybe it's our curriculum that offended that person. So there's a couple of the bads that I don't know if we would consider them bads or needs improvement, but they were just our curriculum and stuff, our expectations being high on homework.
Well, sometimes it does get excessive.
Well, this person said 5 hours, 5.5 hours every night. And well, I mean, if their child is taking that long, then it is too much for that child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then for the Arkansas campus, we did the same thing, but I didn't have numbers at the time to put the percentages. So I get the math done.
I certainly wish that we had more complete information, the percentage of surveys to students. I wish it was better.
Yeah, you mean
still
you
needs to be.
get surveys back? So I think that's a process we need to look at, is how do we get back more surveys? Because there's actually, that's why it'd be nice to know, I guess if you, okay, we can do that number with parents.
What is, like, for surveys and stuff, how does that work? What is you guys' current method for surveys?
What was that?
For surveys,
Current
exit
method.
surveys, what is your current method on surveys? Is it?
When they fill out the withdrawal information, they're handed a survey.
They can leave with the survey, they have to do it on the spot, it's supposed to
Like
be back.
to do it on the spot. We've had some cases where some people have either left with the withdrawal paperwork, we didn't even get to get them the survey because they just left. Or some people who just called in and say, I'm withdrawing. And I guess we could try to mail it to them.
Is there any email? Do you guys email, or is it
No,
any of them?
it's given to them on the spot.
Is it? Owen?
Is that process?
Yes.
numbers at Arkansas that are, I guess I don't know what else to say. Ones and stuff, large areas for improvement was 12.5%, moderate 12.5%, good 75%. So I think that, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a comparison, but it gives you a baseline. I think it gives you more of a baseline, because in one school you're dealing with all new kids, all new parents, you expect them not to be as stable. So I don't know that you can compare the two campuses and say, but you can say, this is the difference between a new campus with all new students and stuff, and then you expect more turnover because they're all new students, and an established campus. So I think that, Arkansas numbers are better for projecting budgets and stuff because it's a more stable. Maybe not projecting budgets, that's probably not a misstatement, but if you want the baseline, no, it's not all new students, no. But it gives you a good baseline, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It gives you something to shoot for. Let's see, what was I going to do? Numbers on percent returns on. So if we take Bowen's 29 were returned out of 119 that went out or withdrawn. So that's like 24% return on surveys. Does anybody, do you do surveys? Does anybody do surveys at their work? What do you get back? You guys do satisfaction surveys? Huh? I know we do, but I don't know what our percentage return is. If that's good or bad. Yeah.
You've got to figure out why these numbers aren't the same, because the December report has got something like 50, 110, almost 190 total enrollments, including the first day of school no-shows. And this does not give anywhere near that. The 56 no-shows at Arkansas just seems really, really bad.
Yeah, something's right.
Yeah, but any of those have been made from Arkansas over to the Dalton campus?
These are people who said they have, we asked for people. Right, so August 17th, I'm pulling them all out, but this report that Denise had asked for appears to have them all pulled together.
Did you do this, Denise, or did?
No, Carol.
Okay.
Because if a kid was here last year and not this year, they're considered a no-show, even if they went to the other campus.
Oh, that's what he was just saying. So that explains your 56. That's your sixth grade.
Yeah. Let's see if Arkansas elementary says sixth grade. Yep. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12.
So do you know, I'm thinking then that my report that I submitted is mostly cleaned up of those that she's talking about, except for those 11. We're still lingering on there. I think that those are the ones that, she's probably right, they were withdrawn technically from here.
Yeah.
But then they were put in over there, and I think she cleaned it up with the exception of these 11.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Right. So somehow she skipped those 11.
All right, so we need a reprint of this one, because this has contact information on it. So we can send out, we've probably got something like 50% return rate at Arkansas.
Yeah, I think if 8 went out and you had 38 withdrawals, you had 21%.
I don't think Arkansas shoot.
I'm getting my 38 here. Oh, I should subtract 11.
Yeah.
Because that's, okay.
Aaron, that report that you sent out, your spreadsheet, so the 62 you have, is that net of no-shows, or is that including no-shows?
No no-shows for me that.
Yeah, he's got a
Even though it says 817, I didn't count any no-shows.
Aaron's numbers
So
are
what's the total students? What's the student count?
For today? We got 484.
Excuse me?
You talking about enrollment?
Yeah.
Going today, 484.
484, okay.
So it's 30%. 29.6. Yeah, 24%.
Send out.
I don't know if we want to do the same one.
Because I got names on this screen. I just think I heard. So we can.
Take those out.
Yeah, we can.
So that's 13%.
So basically the return rates are about the same. 30 and 24%. Yeah. 30% return from Arkansas, 24%. So your return rates.
Is there any reason that they can't be emailed? Because I'm just thinking, for convenience, for me, it would be much easier, and I'd be much more likely to do something if it was just done online, finished. Is there a reason that we can't do that?
It's easier to just hand it to them and say, fill this out real quick while you're filling out your draw.
But what if they're more comfortable, waiting a little bit longer or something like that, might want to take more time to think about it?
You put something together on Survey Monkey, pretty.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or do it both. Yeah, because some people might not have internet access.
You can just read it too, just an option.
It's just, like I said, for me, I like the idea that I can sit down whenever I have time to do something, fill it out, and I don't have to worry about sending a stamp on it.
Yeah, I know if you give me a piece of paper and you say, send this back, there's about an 80% chance it's not coming back. It'll go in the stack of, I've got to do this, and send it back. So you either make me stand there and do it, and I finish it before you give me my kid's report card, or the transcript, or you might have a chance if you send it out on email.
Yeah.
Or Survey Monkey or something like that. Because you can just sit there and answer it, and then it's done, you don't have to remember it.
Right, and not when you're in the rush of trying to get your kids withdrawn.
So maybe you do both. I mean, maybe, but then how are you gonna?
Follow up on the ones that didn't. Or send it, everybody again.
Excuse me, I think I need to point out that we
Yeah.
cannot have interactions or public comments at non-public time.
Yeah, so let's take public comments. Well, Cosmo.
Christina?
I was given a survey when I left Bowen, but I was almost pressured to fill it out right then and there. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I feel like it should be done and given to either the board directly or, in a lockbox or something that the administration doesn't have any access until you guys read it. That's how I feel. So I didn't personally fill one out. I know several parents that did not even get one over the Bowen campus. So I don't know. I mean, I would think that you would want to follow up for the people that have not filled one out. Maybe email it, or maybe ask them to write a brief, positive, negative, whatever. That might be advantageous to you guys. So, follow up with the parents that didn't do it. Find out why. So, thank you.
Amy?
I'm glad that you're looking at these numbers. I hate that it's taken this long to look at, these numbers, and from what I'm hearing, it sounds like that the exit interviews really weren't even evaluated or read or studied until now, and to me that's concerning. And with you making comments like, we can't really count Bowen because they're all new and you expect a bunch of turnovers. I agree with Laurie. We're not all new. We've come from Arkansas and not all parents are new, and a lot of the families that have left are good families that have been here for a number of years. And I also agree with Ms. Sullivan. I wouldn't want to be pressured. I would want the flexibility of having, computer, email, like Denise was saying. I think that you should be able to do that in your own home and think about what you're going to say, and I think those should be studied and evaluated. I think, you need to have a plan of action of what you're going to do from here moving forward, and not just blow it off as thinking, oh, well, you just expect a lot of turnovers on a new campus, and just, look at Arkansas as a baseline only. I don't think that's right. That's all.
Malcolm?
I totally understand, I would suggest possibly getting like a third-party outside reporting company that can totally be subjective. So this way, there's not, teacher or a board or, somebody that's not going to be, people can trust, so this way, nobody is going to, feel like, hey, this board member or this teacher or this director or somebody like that is going to see that. It can be done fairly inexpensively, considering you're not going to expect that many people to drop out. And, that if there's only 100 people, which is a lot, but, it's not happening that often, that can happen. Or if you're going to have a secure, say, an application developed where, as a teacher is checking out, they use the computer in the school, so that once they submit it, it's done that way, or a form, it gets mailed to them, they fill it out in the privacy of their home, it gets sent to a third party, it gets filled out, those results are submitted. You don't know who that person was, it gets submitted to the board. You don't know who the student was, it gets submitted back. You know the results, you don't know who the student was, something like that. That would just be my feedback.
John, Hawk?
First off, I want to say y'all worked way too hard. I was reading the minutes, and y'all were like dismissing at 12 and 12:30. So anyway, kudos to y'all. Y'all worked hard. But I think the exit interviews are a sham. You got to throw those out the window and do them again. That school, from everything I've heard, has been chaos as far as the administration and the exit interviews. We're here to sit and analyze it and say, well, this person, you know why they left. You just don't want to look at the problem. You want to look through for rose-colored glasses, just you know what the problem is. Figure it out and move on.
Amy Shore? Janet Allen? No. Natalie David?
I don't really have a big opinion on this, but going off of I think giving people options of how to answer the survey would be a good thing, or have a follow-up with SurveyMonkey or whatever inexpensive method that our school can go with, because I know it's not as wonderful as Washington. And even as simple as having them put it in a sealed envelope and sign it, and then it's directed into a little box, lockbox that we have at the school, like a little mailbox, where only a board member has access to it. That's one way that people could do it, and at least the people who are leaving would have some comfort level that everything is good. But I'd also like to comment that I know there are some students that I know some have left because they're unhappy, but I want to remind everybody that adolescents, especially 6th and 7th grade, there are lots of changes kids are going through, and friendships, and they may leave for strictly personal reasons, or they may not want to be doing it academics at the level they've been doing. They want to play school sports, they want to be in the band. And so let's not vilify every single person who's left. I recognize that there are people that have left for reasons, but there are other people who have left for strictly personal reasons where they got opportunities other places. And so we need to recognize that and not vilify the other school. And there's a friend of mine who came here to the Arkansas campus and left because they had problems. So it's not just Bowen that has problems. There people have issues at both campuses. So I just have to point that.
Danielle? Ms. Munoz? Karen?
I guess my concern is with the 6th and 7th grade and a lot of people that have left. And I know a lot of people did not come from our 6th grade here, just like you were saying, because they wanted to do like sports or whatever. And so they wanted that opportunity in a regular public school. So I'm not really counting those people, but I know that there's a lot of people. I know my daughter's class, she only has 16 students. They're supposed to be up to 25. They were never at 25 to begin with. I think 20, 21, possibly 22 in a couple of the classes. And from what I've heard from a bunch of the 6th grade parents who I've talked to, it wasn't for personal reasons. They were very unhappy. I guess, you know, if you want to talk about it in dollars and cents, every child there, you know, is worth a certain sum of money. That's my concern, that we are having a huge chunk of people who have left and nobody's coming to fill their spot. And we're not getting that money to help with our budget. So that's one of my big concerns. And if financially, if this is going to make it go downhill, and if there's even going to be enough people from 7th grade, there are a lot of people saying, we're just riding out the year and we're not coming back for 8th grade. And then you're going to have problems there too for next year.
Karen Smith? Steve?
A couple things. Terry, you mentioned the difference between the two campuses and interpreting things like homework and other things on surveys. I think a more useful benchmark than what campus it was from is how many years that student had been at the school. You know, a student that complains about homework after 5 months is a different complaint than someone who's been here for 6 years. And I think before you draw any conclusions from those surveys, you need to consider that the methodology for collecting that is extremely loose, and you have all kinds of biases being introduced. I mean, it could be as simple as someone watching them fill out the survey could change the answers. It could be surveys getting not handed to people that aren't well liked. There's any number of opportunities for those numbers not to represent reality and to be biased in both directions. So having a third party that does not have a personal relationship with the people being surveyed, I think it's crucial to get real numbers. But I think the bigger issue is that businesses who want to retain their customers, when they lose a customer, especially a big customer that would be worth $5,000 a year or $6,000, whatever it is now with a student, someone gets on the phone immediately and calls them and says, is there anything we can do? Can we solve your problem today and get you back in school tomorrow? The idea that we're just letting these students go without even talking to them is an indication that we're not serious about retaining them. And I think there are probably a lot of cases where there's a specific complaint and something could be done. And for the cost of a 5-minute phone call to recover thousands of dollars in state fees for that student, I think it's worth having a system to make those phone calls and at least get an answer. Why did you leave, and can we fix it? And not wait 6 months to look at something they scribbled on a sheet of paper.
Lisa Wangler?
I mean, okay, let me.
Or not.
I almost know better than that.
I think, okay, first of all, never would we not give somebody a survey because we didn't like it. Let me just say that, okay?
I'm not talking about you, but in general, that can happen if that's your policy.
All right, but I think if the problem is with somebody at the school, if that's what the problem is, they're not going to talk freely like that. I think the Survey Monkey thing is probably your best bet. Okay.
Paulette?
Okay. It took me 3 days to get my exit survey because I had asked, and I was not given that.
When I was given one, I walked in, I said, okay, I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna go because I was in a hurry. I was told, no, you do it now. If you take it with you, we will not accept it. Hey, parents are not going to do surveys when you're forced to do something like that right there. You know, that's just not the way it's supposed to be. And yes, I did take my son out, and he's doing much better. I got my son back, but, you know, because I was having lots, he was having anger issues. So if a child sees anger during the day, of course they're going to, you know, bring it home, and that's what's going to happen. Well, anyway, I have talked to a lot of parents. I don't know if you should pursue 8th grade next year, because from what I've seen, you might have enough children to fill one class. Right. A lot of 7th grade parents are just writing it out. You know, something needs to be done to keep our kids. I mean, I've been here, this is my 12th year. He loved the teachers. He thought the teachers were good. It was just the atmosphere. He couldn't handle it. You know, so I think exit surveys have to be done. What was the number? 119 from Bowen? Is that correct? So that kind of getting here numbers?
It's not clear.
Not clear.
The list I have, I think, has people that switched from one campus to the other listed as leavers.
Okay.
We need to get it clarified.
Yeah, because I did start my daughter off over there, but I did bring her back over here. So that might count as a number somewhere. I just think things need to be clear. Keep the kids that we have, you know. I mean, long-time parents are taking their kids out. That should be a big flag right there that's going on. You know. We kept our kids here for 6 years, happily. We go to another campus, and we're taking our kids out. That's a big flag. It needs to be, somebody needs to go and figure that out.
That's all I have.
Several ideas years ago.
Rosalie.
Dan had suggested people do, board members do callbacks. He had several really good suggestions that I'll share the notes of that meeting. That was one of the suggestions he had. Another suggestion he had was like the survey thing was anonymous. So I think we need to look at our process and find out where we can improve that.
One suggestion I liked the best, was the most time efficient, was to have a feedback, face-to-face session.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to call people serially over the course of a month, just have a couple evenings where you sit down and tell people to come in and give you some feedback.
Yeah, he had suggested that group work, like board members take groups of parents and then get together and you agree on what the group wants to say, and then they compare it with other groups. It's kind of a group work session on how to improve parent satisfaction. Do you remember anything else? But like I was telling y'all last week, we had a really good conversation with him, and he had lots of good ideas for how to address some of those things. Huh? Yeah, some of them.
So are we planning on, I'd like to see if we can get accurate information. So
Yeah, I
we
think we
put this
need
on
to-
for next agenda, or what's the plan?
I think we need to look at the data and find out why there seems to be discrepancies and see if there's a way to clean it up.
Should we possibly put a committee on that?
We could do that, or that could be part of the, let's see what the rest of the night is.
Okay.
Is our historical data, do we have that accessible?
We can have the numbers from teams easily enough, sure.
Yeah. And they go, I mean, teams numbers, we should be able to pull
Going back.
historically, but
It'd be good to
I don't know how.
at least from a percentage standpoint.
Yeah, if we could get you the, I mean, maybe we could talk, because you seem to be good with the data manipulations.
That's what I do. I don't manipulate.
That was, that was my vote. You know?
Backtrack that.
Now the truth comes out, that's why I'm voting for you, Greg. If we could get you that data, we could maybe look at trends over time. So, right now, I guess,
I had a couple things to say.
okay.
First of all, I want to preface this with, I'm not disappointed with anyone or people. That's not what I mean when I say I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that it looks like there may have been, based on what I've been poking through the numbers and the different pieces of information I got, that about 63 to, in that range, disenrolled from Bowen, and from Arkansas, I think it's based on the surveys, it's more than 8, but I'm guessing that that's, if you take out the accidental mess there, I think we're looking at probably
22.
about 32.
22.
I think it's good.
I'm going to say 30.
Yeah,
So
okay,
just
30 is a good number.
ballparking it there.
About half.
Traditionally, we have maintained a disenrollment rate of about 11% a year. I don't, my kingdom for a calculator, but I don't think we're
That's
that
50
far
kids
off.
a year. It'd be 50 kids a year here.
So we're not that far off. I think that parents brought their kids here with some of their own preconceptions and some notions in mind. I believe that the parents more often become unhappy for some situations, and that when you look at the surveys that were completed, not a whole lot of them dealt with the homework load. A lot of it had to do with stress. Well, whose stress? The kids' stress? The parents' stress? Did not meet our expectations. Whose expectations? The kids' expectations or the parents' expectations? I'm just saying that I don't necessarily, I'm not really thrilled with what we got tonight. I think that we'd asked for this many months ago to look at the exit interview. I was myself under the impression that there was a board member that had been working on this for a couple of months, looking at interviews, exit interviews, and there was going to be a compilation coming. Better than this. From what I can tell, 11 long-term, 13 long-term parents have left, which means that was 2 or more years. That is unfortunate. I think that a call would be appropriate. I don't know that that will change their minds at this stage. I would have liked to have seen a lot of these less than give it a 1-year commitment, the whole year, recognizing that this is a new endeavor for ACA, like nothing we've ever done before, and that in that recognition, everyone had a part in this, and to blame and to laser in on any particular person or even a process that apparently is a little bit flawed, that's not appropriate either. So overall, I'm hoping something better comes next time around. Something that makes sense. So is this on the agenda for the 9th or the week after, the 16th?
I think, depends on what you want. I think if you want like a long-term trendy, I don't think that can be probably done in that period of time. if you just want cleaned up data, and then you want to progress on to a trend at a later time, then we could do that.
Well, I didn't ask for the agenda item, Denise did, I kind of just want to know what definition one. Yeah, did.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
Lots of people did.
I can tell you my preferences sooner rather than later, so I'd like to at least start with the next meeting, having the cleaned up data, and then we can take it.
Yeah, I think it may take us a while to get a good process.
Right.
And I think
we need a
better look at what how big what the problem.
We need to look at what we
the
have
size of
so
the
we can
problem.
decide. Yes.
Yeah, if we have the long-term trend, we can tell is where we're deviating. And I think the only time we've kind of like Debbie said, the only time we've ever really encountered a situation like this is when we very first opened the school. So I'd be really interested in looking at the trend for our first 5 years in that new school. Because a lot of people say, well, we moved this campus over here and it wasn't a big deal, we didn't lose anybody. Well, it's a whole different ballgame moving an existing campus with existing teachers, with existing parents and students 100 yards south than it is opening up an entire new campus. That is not a comparison. Opening up this school, this new building in 2006, is not opening up a new campus. So I think that sometimes we get tied up in that. What's our historical loss? Well, our historical loss for an established campus is not comparable to what our historical loss for a new campus would be. Is that what you were trying to say, dear? Sort of, maybe not?
Well, no, not exactly.
Well, I mean, I agree, and I think that all of that is important, but I think that there's a more immediate need to figure out, where we're at right now with the marketing and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to get on that part.
Exactly.
Right
We need to start trying to find out why people left it, if we can improve our process, if we can improve what we're doing, so that we get past that first year loss. Then it doesn't repeat itself.
And not only that, you might be able to get some things
Exactly.
back.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
Start the communication process now.
Exactly. I think that's the hope, is that you start the communication process and at least convince the people who are on the fence that they want to stay on this side of it.
Well, I would agree with beginning and augmenting the communication process, but we do need to also remember something, that in the many months it took to plan and get the new school open, I can't even count the number of times we all observed publicly that the first year was going to be a really bumpy ride, and people were going to have to be patient and understand that we're going to have to take first things first and work through problems. But there are any number of people who were not present for those meetings and did not hear those words, who then later on suddenly were amazed that there were issues. Well, please join the real world. When you're opening a new school, you're going to have issues, and there's going to be problems, and you're going to have to be patient and live through them if you intend to be part of something that is going to become marvelous. But it's never going to be simple or easy at the beginning. And if people don't understand that, you may be hard-pressed to convince them later on. You know what I mean? Because their expectations were unrealistic to begin with. But I hope not. I hope there are people who are open-minded enough to realize that nothing good ever started easy. That you have to work with the system, and over time, as things are addressed, they will improve. That's my 2 cents.
But I agree with you, but I think we need to try.
Oh, absolutely, I think we need to try. I absolutely think we do. But I think people also need to examine whether or not, realistically, given everything that has happened in the past couple of years and everything that has been accomplished, whether or not it is realistic to expect perfection from the minute the doors open. There's always going to be a learning curve. There's always going to be a process of change. There's always going to be a continuous pattern of improvement if you try hard enough. But you got to be realistic and you got to be patient, because that's just the way the world works. Nothing is perfect from day one, ever, in life. And anyone who's ever had a child knows that, you know, because they're a work in progress just like any other human being or any human institution.
Absolutely. 100%, 125% agree. And we did repeatedly say, and a lot of the people who were at those meetings and heard those words, and even kind of, still, the expectations didn't change that it was going to be perfect when it opened. And they were, if you were actually here when the first school opened, you know how perfect that was. So I dare you to make a comparison between the opening now and the opening then. And if anybody dares to say the opening of Bowen campus went worse than the opening of the first ACA campus, I really have no use for you because you have no base in reality. You just don't. It was far, far worse. So, I hear all the complaints. I think we have room to improve. We always have room to improve. We want to continuously improve, but like Lisa said, we have to be realistic with our expectations. All right. Any further board comments?
I do have one.
Okay.
In the interest of the upcoming lottery that starts February, I don't know how quickly we could, resurvey or start a survey for the people that have left, if that might be an attempt to get some of those students back. I don't know.
To get them to come into the lottery?
Enter the lottery in February.
Yeah.
That'd be one reason to keep it on the agenda.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think we need to keep it on the agenda, working forward until we have a resolution. Is that what I'm...
What is the date that to close the acceptance?
So what?
They're working on that.
February 29th.
Is the last day you can turn one in?
For new parents.
For new parents?
So,
Well, they would be new students.
which they get a new student if they left.
Well, and there's something else that just as a toss-in might be operative too. Once you have taken your kid out of here, for example, if you have taken them to a regular public school, there's going to be a certain probably level of disenchantment at that point. So we may be able to capitalize on that disenchantment and swing people back over this way. It may be that they had a more set opinion when they left, but it may be that their opinion is not quite so set, having seen the way other places operate.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing we had when we had that. I don't know if you all remember when Summit left, and that'd be another good trend point to find. When Summit opened up, we lost a lot of students to Summit. But there was an influx that tried to make it back in, and ended up being on the waiting list, and a lot of them never could make it back in, but they wanted to. So I think what you're saying is true. They get out there and find out what you thought. The grass is greener on the other side of the fence.
And that has happened even this year. We've had students that have left and come back. And even on the wait list, like you mentioned Summit, we've had some kids who were here, went to Summit, and now they're on our wait list right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we get comments all the time. It's a different world out there in the ISDs.
Yeah, and I can't imagine. I mean, those seventh grade parents, they can take their kids to public school. I had to do it.
Well, and I have some
Wow.
I have some friends who are AISD teachers who have told me that if their students had anywhere else to go, they'd be going, because budget cuts and other problems have really taken a toll on morale. That's what I've been told.
And they may be happy because they don't have homework, and they go, and they have friends, and they get to goof off a lot. I mean, Jamie was very happy. I just question the quality of the education she received. I wasn't very happy. I didn't have a choice at that point in time. Okay, so are we good?
Next steps?
Next steps, we decided.
Between now and next meeting, what's on the agenda?
Yes, cleaned up that. Is the next step on this? Is that what you're asking?
Agree volunteering to send out surveys?
We're good.
I think we had two people raise hands. There you go, we have a committee. We had two people raise hands.
Oh, was that? Yeah, I mean, we can send out, try to survey.
Try clean up data, Yeah, and historical reference, we.
Yeah, I think the three things on the to-do list, now whether they all get done before the next meeting or not, would be just try the survey by survey monthly and see what sort of return you get. Because you're trying to beat like a 30% return rate. So if we can prove that, do a pilot on the survey monkey, and by looking at the parents who have withdrawn, then I think you might have an idea whether that's going to work better in the future or when you write your process. And then the other one is clean up the data, and the other is do a historical change. Okay, everybody copacetic? All right, the last item on the agenda is a discussion of the upcoming ACA market campaign. And unfortunately, I have a little plan here that I shared with Denise last meeting, and I can't get the stupid iPad to connect to the internet, so I can send it to you all via email. Basically, what I do know is that I managed to twist Denise's arm far enough behind her back that she finally said yes, that she would chair the marketing committee. So if anybody has talents in that area and you'd like to volunteer to serve on that committee, and I think what I told Denise, I think we need to look at a two-pronged approach, a short-term approach, and then a more long-term component, short-term component, long-term component. The goals I put out at the committee, and I'll try to get this somehow to talk to other electronic devices. I just got it for Christmas, so I'm still trying to learn how to make it behave itself. Or it's trying to learn how to make me behave. Develop a plan that communicates ACA's core values and exemplifies who we are, to use as a mechanism to increase enrollment and community understanding of our school. Include a short-term component to be completed immediately for this enrollment period, including a targeted mailing campaign, and then the targeted, the thing we talked about with the some short-term stuff. Include a long-term component to continue to build ACA status in the community, which would be develop a presentation to be used by ACA ambassadors at various public meetings. We've had several board members volunteer to go to public meetings. I think we need to put together a presentation for them, sort of a soapbox presentation, elevator. Ken used to call them his elevator speech. Sort of an elevator speech, a short. To assist in the development of a document which can be used to approach donors. Again, I have one that I created years ago when we were looking at bonds. So I have a brief outline for that. And then Ken and his wife developed one when we were looking at a donor. I'm going to try to get in touch with him and see if he still has that somewhere.
The proposal?
The one that says, yeah, the proposal, the one that says, do you have electronic or do you have paper?
While they're discussing, I just want to throw out there, you can get my email address off the website. This is not my expertise. Certainly it needs to be done. I'm willing to take it on. And Mia's already started helping me with a few things that we can implement right away at no cost, which is great.
Yeah. And then I had to examine the potential use of social media and technology as a mode to communicate, to market ACA. And I had blog, but it could be Facebook, would be a method to use also. And it's not complete, it's not a real plan, but it's a start.
And Denise, there's money built into the administrative budget for that.
Okay. So I'll call you later on.
And Denise already implemented one idea that one of the people working with her had. It was just putting some different stuff on our website. Stuff like that, really simple, short-term.
Yeah, really easy, simple stuff. Like I said, it's just free and it's immediate.
Yeah, free and immediate. So let's further board discussion. But I guess I see, and tell me if I'm getting off on this. I see this marketing committee kind of having to work really close with the, well, it used to be the committee that Eric had, the grants committee, because as far as creating documents, the marketing committee can create documents for the grants people to use in their initial approach to, no, we don't. Yeah. We have people who have volunteered to do
Oh,
it.
okay.
But Eric was the last person that was chair of that committee. Currently, we have a chair. So I guess to make it official, I have to appoint the chairman of the committee. So I am now officially appointing Denise Marvin as chairwoman of the marketing committee. So, you want to take cards, Deb?
Sure. Christina?
No problem.
Amy?
I pass because I just think it's rude if someone's talking to sit up and roll your eyes at someone. I just think it's very disrespectful.
Malcolm?
Is this in regards to marketing?
Yes.
I'm open to help in any way if y'all need any help referencing marketing or anything technology.
Talk to Denise.
I'm sorry?
Talk to Denise.
Yeah, absolutely. So if y'all need any help in any capacity, please let me know.
And my email address is on the
Yes, ma'am.
website, so just send me an email.
Is it SBC Global?
Yes.
Yep.
John Hawk?
Pass.
Amy? The other Amy? Sheila? Natalie?
Just one quick thing. One thing I think we could do is utilize our website that we already have. I know at our campus, there's only a couple of grades that are actually utilizing each grade level where you can go look and see what the spelling lists are and things like that. I know that when I was looking at the campus, that's one thing I looked at to see what kind of curriculum, people could see the kind of spelling words our first graders are spelling. I think it would kind of blow people out of the water compared to other schools. And it's just getting the teachers too, or getting the teachers to get a parent volunteer in each grade to help them update it every week. It's a simple way, but it's a resource people use when they're researching. And maybe also even putting a outreach on greatschools.com, have parents if they're happy, to update it.
Danielle? No comment. Karen? Karen? Steve?
As a consultant and as a software developer, there are a lot of times where we'll go into a client and we'll help them migrate from one system to another, and it's often involves a lot of custom work and a lot of uncertainty and a lot of risk, and it's a big process, not unlike opening a new campus. And every time we do that, we know ahead of time that things can go wrong, that they will go wrong, and that we want to be on top of them. And we make sure that every member of every team is available when we cut over to the new system. We make sure that we're watching everything that we can possibly watch. And the reason that, even though I wasn't here in some of the summer meetings, that I've been so critical of this board, is my perception is that when this new campus came online, and when there were so many things that could go wrong, that you knew could go wrong, and that you were concerned about going wrong, that nobody showed up for work, that you weren't watching, that things went wrong and continued to go wrong and continued to go wrong until here we are a semester later, just now, starting to talk about why people might have left the campus. So it's not that I think anyone expected perfection. I think it's that we expected the board to be watching for things that they knew were risky to go wrong and to address them properly. And that simply didn't happen.
Lisa?
Pass.
Paulette?
What she was saying about putting things on the internet or the website, first grade does that. Put what they do every week, the spelling words are up there and everything. So some teachers aren't doing that. And marketing, word of mouth. We just need to get the parents happy again. Because for however many years the school's been here, it was word of mouth that brought the parents. We need to get our parents' marketing back on track.
That's all I had.
So if there are no further more comments, I guess the plan of action is to, for these, we'll get to the talk.
Yes.
All right, so we will be moving to closed.